And I think it was the women's division of the General Board of Global Ministries really that had the vision, along with a number of other lay women across the country who really said, we need to have a way to raise to consciousness the needs of women and the reality that the church has not been as inclusive and as healthy and whole as it can possibly be. So, and there were a lot of people who didn't believe that and who didn't think it was needed. So it took a lot of courage just to get started. And then once begun, it took even more courage, I think, to reflect back to the church what COSRO in its monitoring and advocacy work was learning and needed to say to the church about how it received women in the fullness of who they were.
Made me more sensitive to some of the issues that are facing women. I knew some friends actually went into the clergy route, heard some of their stories as to how they got there or if they were encouraged, not encouraged. I also was at a church in a small town where after we left, a woman pastor came on board and was well received by everyone as much, and some members left. So I mean, it's unfortunate because you don't really see it, happening. Sometimes in the workplace, you might still think of gender inclusiveness not being at its height. However, you don't really want to think about that in your church life because it's the church. It's the house of God, and so you think everyone should be treated equally.
I caught the essence that as a lay professional woman, which my mother was, it was also her ministry to be active for the inclusion of women, children, youth. And so it's kind of in my genes. I learned that I want to say the philosophy and the theology around inclusion, around what it means to be a white anti-racist, what it means to be a woman who receives sexism in a variety of ways, professionally and in the church. And then I went, in my professional career, I'm a civil rights specialist in education. And I work with teachers to try and help male and female teachers know that they favor boy students over female students. Both male and female teachers do because of the sexism we grew up with. Well, I found a place in COSRO that allowed me to use my lay ministry, my professional training, to the benefit of building inclusiveness in the church.
Some challenges that confront women in my country and maybe in other Asian countries, if I may say, is the struggle still continues. Even if there is this more progressive-minded thing we're doing where we are trying to empower women, there's a women's movement that is really behind all of these things. We still find the patriarchal society so dominant. It is there. It is still blocking us. That it takes much courage for women to really go and penetrate that barrier that is blocking the empowerment of full and equal participation of women in the church.
I feel like my work with COSGRO has affected every aspect of my life. Professionally and from the pulpit, it's absolutely changed the way that I write liturgy, I adapt the liturgy I see. I feel more aware of not just using inclusive language, but using language that includes all people. For those, whatever spectrum they may be on the left or the right, to feel like they can worship God and that God truly loves them for who they are and for where they are. And I feel like my preaching style has completely changed, and my prophetic voice of what I'm supposed to be called to talk about. And God's love is good, but what does that mean for the person that feels like they're not included in church, or they may be a second-class citizen, or not nearly as valued? And I feel like at home, my wife went to seminary, but she didn't follow the ordination track. I feel like I have a tiny bit of a glimpse more valuing the struggles that she went through as she went through the ordination track and as she tried to understand her calling as well. And with 3 daughters, I think I can use all the help I can get.
And now I'm watching kids that were in youth ministry when I was doing youth ministry who are teaching in seminaries and working in local churches for whom inclusive language is a given. And they talk about the impact that Cosgrove had and that those churches that really took that seriously had while they were youth. So I don't think the work is done at all. And I don't think that the work has been done completely on making sure that women's leadership in local churches maintains at the level that we're committed to.